You're listening to the ReachCast show, your weekly stop for the latest and greatest in the PlanetSide 2 universe and its community.
Welcome everybody, it is February 18th, and you are listening to episode 21 of the ReachCast show. I'm your host, Torkz, and with me tonight are my co-hosts, as always, Noxx and Deringer.
What up?
Hello, everybody.
This week we are brought to you by VS Tears and NC Beers. Also
Wait, what?
Also by great listeners like you, via the Support the Show tab on ReachCastShow.com. It has our affiliate links and everything else on there. When you shop through Amazon or our Newegg, and it just kind of gives us a kickback on what you guys buy without you guys having to spend anything. Also, we have a donation tab on there if you want to donate, if that's your bag. So, this week we played with Imperial Reach, 666 Devil Dogs, and Dropping Purple. Wow,
Can't even say it.
I can't even say it right. Dropping Purple Smoke. Those are the three outfits we play with this week.
DPSO, those are my boys.
DPS. Very nice. Okay. And so, on to patch updates this week.
I'm going to get these mosquitoes in the air and rain down some hellfires on the foods. Oh no! What the f***? I should have listened to the ReachCast patch notes.
I will be talking about the 2.13 hotfix that went out on 2.13. So, there's some pretty cool things done in this hotfix that I feel like they kind of snuck in on people. So, the first one was more of a bug fix with the Alpha Squad boosts. They were now regranting everyone with the full... Well, that's the second bug fix. What am I saying? Regranting everyone with their full 6 months of bonus and to resource and experience. All Alpha Squad players must equip the new boost. So I noticed the other day I was only getting my 150 experience per kill, and I realized I had to put the boost on. But that was
I noticed I was only getting 6% bonus, and I was like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty nice of them, because they originally stated that everyone was going to lose their Alpha Squad boost if they took it off. And people were buying the 50% boosts for the double XP week over New Year's. And so it's pretty good that they got to get theirs back, especially after it got changed to 50 from, 15?
Yeah, it was somewhere between 10 and 15, but yes, I agree. I think it's very nice of SOE to give back to everyone. Yeah, I'm glad. I'll leave it with that.
So moving on, this was the one that I think they kind of snuck in on everybody, was the the new mana anti-vehicle turret that's available for purchase. It's available for 700 station cash and 1,000 certs. And I've seen it all over the place. And it seems pretty cool. I've been saving up for it myself.
I haven't purchased it yet either. I know that my brother did, and he says it's a must-have if you're an engineer.
Yeah,
sounds like...
I'm sorry.
Continue. No, it sounds like all the engineers I've talked to say the same thing, Deringer. It's pretty much a must-have. Situational wise, I mean, it sounds like it's pretty amazing.
Yes, I've been saving up. I had 800 certs I didn't know what to do with, and so I was like, I'll get that, I suppose. I'm almost there. Now, there was also a bug where the jump jet cert progression would not show properly, or not properly show the functional differences in certain cases. That's been fixed. Invulnerability for revived players has been removed. There was a lot of outrage around this one.
Thank goodness.
You know, I never experienced the negative effects of it, and so I can't honestly tell you how I feel about it. I always thought that I don't know how long it was. Were people really being revived, looking around, and then killing someone before they moved? I don't know.
It was more of a problem with medics re-resing someone. They would already be pointing in your direction, and they would have kind of the jump on you. So I don't know. There's been instances where it was kind of I wouldn't say exploited, but it became kind of a pain. So I'm glad that they removed it.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, like I said, it never happened to me, so I don't know if it was just something that was overhyped in the forums. But they moved it either way. Community cried out rather. I don't want to make it sound like it was all tears. But moving on, they also added a temporary effect to help know when someone has invulnerability on respawn, so you can tell when someone spawns if they have that effect on them or not, because it still is the case when they're spawning from Sunderers and whatnot that they're invulnerable for a bit.
For people who haven't experienced it, what does it actually look at? Because I can't say that I've noticed a difference.
I haven't noticed either.
I don't know.
We clearly camp Sunderers. I usually look at a Sunderer, and the first thing I do is pull up my rocket launcher, fire one, and duck for cover so I can reload it. So,
yeah, I go for my C4 and run over the top of it. I couldn't tell you what camping the people on it is, or what they what it shows. So, I'm sorry. I will make a concerted effort to camp a Sunderer this week.
Yeah, it sounds like we have some homework.
So I can tell you.
Yes. Now, the next thing that was fixed was the membership status window. The window would correctly display the loyalty level. Now, it fixed for me last week. Torkz called me an idiot for saying mine wasn't working, but it wasn't. But
I would like to retract my statement. I am an idiot because I was wrong on this.
You know what happens when you assume that everyone is not having a problem.
Are we really going to go through this again, Deringer?
But you said you have a problem with it now on a new character you created, right?
What I experienced was I created a new NC character this week, and it showed bronze level for my membership, which would dictate a 10% bonus. So I should have with alpha 60%. Well, I'm still getting 100% XP bonus, so it's showing it's showing incorrectly, but it's still giving me the correct amount of bonus. So I don't know. It
sounds like there's a problem with, they just might have fixed it for all characters that exist, but not made something that created it to apply correctly when creating a new character.
Possibly. You're probably right. I think all existing characters are probably fixed, but new characters maybe not so much. At least that's what it seems like if I were to QA it.
Well, I'm planning on deleting my NC character and moving on over to Connery to play with the Devil Dogs, so I'll tell you what happens.
Yeah, I will meet you there, because I'm already there, waiting for you, with open arms.
Oh, I can't wait. So the last item on the ticket is missiles locked onto vehicle in flight will again provide an audio and visual indicator.
So my Liberator got a whole bunch of indicators this week, and I died. But it was good. I knew it was coming this time. I knew that the sound, and I wasn't just dead. So, anyways, all kidding aside, I'm glad they put the indicators back in. So I'm not just hoping that I see a lock on. Possibly, maybe.
Yeah, now you know when to pop your flares again.
Exactly.
Now you know when to eject and not give them the kill, right?
Yeah, deconstruct midair somehow. Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, exactly.
Wish I was capable of doing that somehow. Anything else with that?
No, I think that's it for the Passionates.
Okay, community briefing.
Attention, soldiers! Get your bus in here for this week's community briefing.
All right, first up in community briefing, we're going to go over last week's Friday Night Ops. There wasn't too much that Maggie and Jimmy went over at the beginning of the show. They did show the VS and the TR next submachine gun, but they were kind of on a previous patch on their test servers, so you couldn't really see all the animations for it, so they promised that we would see something better on the next Friday Night Ops regarding those submachine guns. But they also had an interview with the character lead, Matt Broom, and he fielded a bunch of different questions via Twitter, and we picked out some of the topics we thought were pretty interesting. First off, he stated that new designs for alternate armor sets are being worked on currently. The main focus, however, is on options for characters in the depot right now. So basically, they're looking to just ramp up and add more and more things that you can purchase to customize your character before they start working on those alternate armor sets. But regarding those alternate armor sets, Vanu and TR armor is currently in process. They didn't mention anything about NC. But they did say that these new armors will really play up to the stereotypes of each faction. So it looked like a lot of more black on the TR one, because he said that people feel like the TR are evil. So he wanted to add more black to their armor and things like that. And they did show a helmet design for the Vanu and the TR for this new armor set, and I have to say they look pretty neat. Did you guys get a chance to look at the helmet designs that they previewed?
And did they look? They look well designed, and I agree with. I agree with that. It accentuates their personality. I mean, the personality of each faction, I would say.
The TR one. Did either of you watch Iron Sky?
No, I did not.
No.
well, that's the one with the Nazis on the dark side of the moon. If anybody's seen that movie,
I started watching it and it was like terrible. I couldn't make it for more than 5 minutes.
It's terrible. I made it about halfway and I stopped watching it. But when they're on the moon in that first beginning scene and you see the Nazis with those helmets on, the TR one kind of looks like that with the tubing on it and things like that. It looks good. I pretty much like the TR
so
one.
hard when that thing came up and
Yeah,
shot
it's
like
a
an
terrible
RPG
movie.
at the moon lander.
Yeah, first of all, an RPG and a Luger will not fire on the moon, but that's beside the point.
Oxygen has a part to play, apparently.
All right. Well, next up, and this one I know Noxx was laughing at when I mentioned it, but they said sunglasses and bandanas are being planned as well as other head aesthetics.
I can't
helmets.
wait to wear my Ray-Bans and Space America bandana.
I have my visor of my TR, and then I put like Ray-Bans over the top of the visor to look cool, and then I put like a red bandana over the top and be good to go.
Or better yet, Space America bandana and some like Tom Cruise Top Gun glasses.
Top Gun glasses.
Oh yeah, baby. Yeah, the aviators. Oh yeah.
Aviators, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
He did say that helmets are first on the table, though, so we won't see these for a little bit longer still. Someone else asked about a hood for infiltrators, and he basically broke on the show, and Maggie was like, whoa, I didn't know that they are working on a hood-style aesthetic for infiltrators. It will have a hood, some carbon fiber elements, and goggles, and it will look very post-apocalyptic.
I can't help but think of Rogue Tier 2.
I couldn't help but think Assassin's Creed.
Rogue Tier 2. That's what goes into my head first.
And the final point, and this wasn't so much something cool that is coming to the game, but he did tell a story about his son. His son plays Nuke Conglomerate, and he didn't say how old his son was, but I guessed it was a younger kid.
Well, first preface, what does Matt Broom play?
He is diehard Terran Republic. He plays with Jimmy Wiz, and they play with TRG on the Connery server. Well, apparently Clegg told Matt Broom's son that TR are the bad guys, so his son refuses to play TR and only plays NC.
Which is awesome and hilarious.
Good job, Clegg. Good job.
So he has to make an NC character just to play with his son, all thanks to Clegg.
Clegg, you are influencing minds, and it's good job. Well, Command Center for the week with Higby and T-Ray. They mentioned that Empire-specific rockets were coming back for PS2. They are going to be the exact same as PS1, for those of you that play PS1, but they are coming back, and I'm looking forward to having some sort of crazy Empire-specific rocket to shoot around. So that'd be fun.
I asked the question in chat, and they wouldn't answer me. Not in chat for this, but I also asked it during the FNO, because they said the Lancer is coming back for the Vanu. And I know you didn't play the original game, Torkz, but Noxx, I know you did.
Well,
the Lancer
I'm not
had
enough
such...
to know what the Lancer is.
You didn't know it, but it had such a unique and distinctive sound to it that it has a charge-up sound to it, and then it fires. And it's just so iconic. It's something I remember from the original game. And I hope the devs are listening. One of you want to answer me this and let me know if that sound is coming into the game. It will make me very happy.
They did say that the
I'm gonna do
VS...
some research and find the sound now.
It did say the VS launcher would be like a charge-up launcher,
Yeah.
from what I understand. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this becomes.
Just make the sound there. That's what it's for, right?
Yeah,
I'll find
all
the
he
sound
always
after
wants
the
is
show,
the
you
sound.
guys can hear it.
Let's play the sound on loop. The T-Ray also played a video of his meetup with the ReachCast guys, us, and some people here in St. Louis. It was fun, and it was good. I enjoyed the drinking guy, whoever that was.
And for those who asked, I was not the drinking guy.
Yeah, he was wearing a ReachCast shirt. Not Deringer.
That was not Deringer, for those who were wondering.
That was not Deringer.
And thanks again to everyone who showed up.
We had a great time. So yeah, again, what Noxx said, thank you for everybody that showed up. They also previewed a gun model for an awesome looking pistol and showed kind of how they animated it. I love these demonstrations of their weapons and their weapon creations, so I hope they keep that up.
You know, I was a little...
on. Oh.
Go ahead. No, I'm going to finish. I was a little disappointed that we saw the same gun again. I kind of thought we'd see something different. But don't get me wrong.
Do you mean a different model of another heavy pistol, or
of something else?
Oh, see, from what I understood, the last episode when they talked about doing this, is they were going to show us the development process of a single item. And so I was expecting to see the further development of the gun.
See, that's not what I got out of it. I got that they were showing the gun this week and they might show something different next week. So I was kind of hoping that with that new vehicle they kept popping up images of, I was kind of hoping we would see the design behind that.
They did pop up some
two times, I think.
It was a different one each time.
Yeah, they popped up some vehicles to kind of for little teasers during the command center. I thought it was interesting.
It sounded like that was unintentional.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was.
Well, afterwards on Twitter, T-Ray was like, how did those get in there? And he seemed sincere that he didn't know how they got in there. But maybe he's...
I guess some of the tech guys were having a little fun with them.
Yeah, maybe... never mind. Yeah, maybe they're messing with them. They also mentioned that they started toying around with some different rendering distances on specific servers. Connery and Miller were mentioned. So they're
Indar,
only on Indar, yeah.
Yes, only on Indar, and they were looking at I guess they're testing at live servers, which is a very, I think out of the ways that it could be implemented to test things like this, I think that's a good way. Do it on a live server, do it with a player populace, and don't detract from the rest of the player populace with the test server, which kind of leads to our community question of the week, but we'll get to in a minute. And that's all we have for Command Center.
Yes. Now into the forums. Higby made it has a lot of content, not very long posts. He's good at keeping it succinct, but he made a post about the Mag Rider and its maneuverability. And one thing, he mentioned that there is definitely some issues with it getting hung up on small bumps and inclines that they're working on, and strafing, and especially strafing up an incline that's not perpendicular to non-sloped forward movement that affects forward velocity in some situations where it possibly shouldn't. So these are some things they're tweaking and fixing up better. Then they also talked about not being able to he couldn't find any real areas where the Prowler and Vanguard could get to that the Mag Rider could not. Some people, I guess, were complaining that the Vanguard and Mag Rider could get to spots not possible by the Mag Rider anymore, and I think they're just used to being able to get over anything, and now they can't. The Mag Rider, when it's stalled up a steep hill, Mag Burner will no longer shoot you up that hill anymore, and I guess that's based on incline. If your Mag Rider is at a certain angle, Mag Burner will not work. This is intentional. Then players were also complaining about strafing speed being nerfed, which is not true. They did not nerf or touch strafing speed at all. He says it's probably due to more to perception because of the velocity changes to the Prowler and Vanguard, that players are less able to dodge those rounds. Then he also notes that Mag Riders are supposed to be more maneuverable, but they're not supposed to be able to traverse more terrain. So all these changes that they're making are to make them more maneuverable, but not make it so that they can avoid roads and avoid those force fields at various bases that prevent Prowlers and Vanguards from passing by the road, where Mag Riders could just go up and over the huge mountains. And they showed some pretty interesting stats, whereas after this 2.2 patch that came out, which is the January update, beforehand, the Prowler just dominates straight up on these stats.
No,
and he does note...
The Mag Rider dominates.
Sorry, yes. The Mag Rider just dominates everywhere on the charts before this update. And he did want to note that it's not all conclusive, and this doesn't explain the whole story, but it is pretty convincing that the Mag Rider needed some changes. So that's why they went ahead and made these changes. And we kind of expect a Prowler nerf, because now it's pretty clear the Prowler is a little higher on those stats.
Yeah, I'm a stat guy and a chart guy, and I love when they post charts like this. You guys got to go, all your listeners out there got to go and check out this post by Higby just to get this chart, to take a look at it. Because you're going to see in the first half, the Mag Rider is getting twice as many kills as the other tanks.
Oh,
it's getting the amount of kills that the other two are getting combined. And then it completely evens out to where now you look at the charts and the Prowler is a little bit ahead of the two other, but it's a lot closer than it was before.
Much more balanced.
Why we think there's... No, go ahead, Torkz.
We'll make sure to include the link in the show notes for those of you that want to see it. Everything we're mentioning, we will make sure to include the links in the show notes so you guys can get to them.
But why we think there will probably be a Prowler nerf incoming is because the Prowler is very even to the Mag Rider right now, and the Mag Rider is very even to the Vanguard right now. But when you look at the Vanguard versus Prowler graphic, the Prowler is clearly ahead of the Vanguard, and that's why we think most likely there can be a nerf to that, because...
And it's slightly ahead on the combined all three.
Yeah, because if you can't... At first we thought maybe they could just buff the Vanguard, but then that would put the Vanguard squarely ahead of the Mag Rider, and I don't know if that's what they're really looking for.
Well, and you know what I think, too, might be determining factor is more players now getting the deployment, the anchor mode for the Prowler, which could sway those stats even further into the Prowler's favor as time passes that don't have it already. So,
and also don't forget, halfway through this time period, the second half of it, didn't they fix the anchor mode as well?
They did, and it's still, you know, the chart didn't really look like there was that much of a difference there.
No, you're absolutely right. Well, it seems as though it's a little bit ahead, 2, 4, 5, 8 area, and then it seems to get a little closer after that.
I admit I'm not a tanking master, but most tank battles that I do initiate or see when I do fight, the deploy mode doesn't have a lot to do with tank on tank fighting. It seems like sometimes when you're in siege, you're sieging a base and tanks happen to spawn from there and you take them out. But on the road, I don't see people like pulling up next to a Vanguard or next to a Mag Rider and then deploying right there in the middle of the road, to fight sometime. I mean,
no, that's not how it works. The Prowler deploys far away and rains death upon the Mag Riders and the Vanguards as they come in. You should roll with us in Imperial Reach in our tank columns and watch how we do it.
Yeah, I noticed that as I would fire off 2 shots this last week and then start the deploy while I'm reloading to maximize my efficiency, and it actually worked really well.
Should probably want to get a chance to do some more armor column stuff with you guys. That's not usually my forte, but I should try it out just to get a better grasp of that.
All right. Well, I think we've talked this to death. Again, we recommend everybody go out there, even if you just to look at the chart, because it's at least pretty interesting. Next up, we wanted to talk about a post that actually just showed up yesterday by Buzzcut Psycho about the state of PS2 and what he feels must change. Now, love him or hate him, he does make some valid points that some of us agree with and some other points that we don't necessarily agree with. It's a very long post. He goes on for almost an entire page on the forums before people can actually reply. And it's probably one of the most viewed posts out there in a long time. So well worth a read and something we thought that we should go over. He made some mention regarding he feels the battle flow is missing and he feels that instant action should be better implemented. We all agree with his points there, so we're not going to go too in-depth into it. You guys can go out and read that for yourself. But he does also talk about he feels that server mergers should be implemented sooner or almost immediately, and that he does not want to see server transfers. And his argument is that new players will join high population servers. They are not looking to join medium or low population servers. And he also feels that Sony shouldn't ask someone on, say, Genudyne, which is a historical low pop server, to pay for a server transfer to move their character to a higher pop server when they've already sunk cash into their characters. And he also thinks that casual players could think that transfer tokens will mean that their server is dying, and they will wonder if the game is dying as a whole. Now, I know I agree with all 3 points that he made, but I know, Noxx, you didn't necessarily agree with all of them.
Well, I think server mergers suggest more that the game is dying than transfer tokens. I would honestly say that if you go, all right, we're merging a bunch of servers, that would say the game's dying more so than people transferring servers. I just a thought of mine, but I also don't think it's necessarily needed because the reason that the game's still young. I mean, it's going to be easier to merge them later or allow people to transfer off of a server than it is to merge servers and then, they make a bunch of really awesome changes in the next year and they increase the population by 50% and have to make new servers. Then you have a bunch of really low pop servers at that point. I think it's too early.
I think leaving the responsibilities in the hands of the players for a while is probably a better idea. People will naturally kind of adjust themselves out to where they need to be, and if it ends up that in that process there's a couple servers that are extremely low pop and continually stay that way, then yeah, go ahead and merge them. I have no problem with merges as far as a tool, but I think you need to let the player base balance themselves out a little bit before you go ahead and decide just to go ahead and merge servers together. I think that would create more resentment than is necessary. More so than even the people saying, well, I've spent some money on this character. The people that have spent the money are willing to transfer their character. They feel like there's a better fight somewhere else. And I think that's leave in their own hands. Stop, don't make assumptions and merge servers together, unless it's absolutely necessary.
All fair and valid points. Again, this is the main reason why we brought this particular post to the table today. Next up, he has a section on AMSs and AMS no deploy zones and adding cloaking fields to Sunderers. Now, anybody who played PlanetSide 1 knows that Sunderers were not what they are today, and instead you had something called an AMS, and that was where players would actually spawn from. There was only one driver, it drove up somewhere, and then once it spawned, it popped up a big cloaking bubble that the enemy could not see it inside, but people could freely run in and out of it. So that's one thing that he wants to bring back to the game, saying that it makes the hunt for an enemy Sunderer much more engaging, and that it's really too easy to destroy a Sunderer now. Everyone sees it on the map. Somebody runs over one thing, a C4, blows it up, gone. That's all there is to it. He also, again, no deploy zones for AMSs. He knows this is something that's on the roadmap, and he understands that this is being voted down left and right, and he was a little upset about that. He does feel that we should not be able to deploy our Sunderer so close to an objective because it gives all the momentum to the attacker and really puts defenders at a disadvantage. And he feels combining these two things together will make Sunderers work better in the game and be more fair to both sides in the game.
I was one of the people that voted down on no deploy zones. But reading his post opened my eyes to the thought of he was totally right. Like, you'd put a Sunderer right by a shield, and then you're there, the enemy's got to run a distance, you're going to get it eventually. Like, there's no point, there's no chance of you not getting it because you have less distance to travel to get there. And it's one of the things, but at the same time, I don't like, the problem with deploy zones in that is not that defensive players are not deploying their Sunderers near defensive objectives. It's that there's always some a-hole deploying his Sunder in the middle of the amp station behind the shields, and the bubble of the no deploy zone, because of that Sunderer's deploy, you can't deploy a Sunderer on the outskirts of the base closer to the objectives. It's not the game so much as the players being stupid, if you ask me.
All right, next
up. One player ruins it. But I do like the cloaking. The cloaking should definitely... At the same time, in PlanetSide 1, you had to cert into that AMS, didn't you? Like, you had to specifically do it. Whereas now, anyone can spawn a Sunderer. So if you have 200 Sunderers that are all cloaked, it's going to make it a little overwhelming defensively at the same time.
I'd like to see it maybe instead of it where you have like an ammo Sunday or repair Sunday, maybe not one of those options is to have a cloaking bubble as well. just to kind of give him some other options for these Sunderer
How
drivers.
would that help if you had that instead of an AMS?
Well, some people are still going to be, well, no, you'd still have an AMS, like you can still be an AMS.
Instead of
ammo
like the
Sunderer.
armor or the, what's the other thing people use? The ammo.
Yeah, that's what I said, ammo.
I like that.
You know, I wasn't talking about being the shield breaker.
Right.
The shield breaker takes away from the AMS. But yeah, if you could be AMS and choose to be, you know, have a cloaking bubble as well, that's really for infantry. Whereas, you know, if you're running with a tank column, obviously you're going to go AMS and ammo. So just give a couple more options for people to choose, depending on what the situation is for their Sunderer. Next up,
shield weaken it and make it easier to kill.
Maybe. Next up were a few random annoyances that he had that we felt were worth discussing. One that I liked was that drop pods should deploy players on the outskirts of an area and not on top of the base itself anymore. I think it's kind of annoying to have both attackers and defenders dropping right into the middle of onto the top of the biolab and fighting over the top of it. I think it would be better if you drop the attackers on the outskirts, because that's where most of them should be going anyways, to capture the outer points and things like that. I know, Noxx, you said you disagreed with this.
I just don't think it's an issue that needs to be developed. There's other more important things to work on.
And I tend to agree with you there. It's not something that really should be, you know, first thing on the developer's mind. Next up, he wanted to remove the flinch mechanic because it puts players with a low rate of fire at a disadvantage, and it always helps the player who shoots first. I know I didn't have an opinion, but again, Noxx, you had an opinion on...
I fully agree on this one. Or the higher damage, lower rate of fire weapons need to make the person flinch significantly more, because when I play NC, that's the biggest peeve I have. TR hits me twice while I'm shooting, and my gun's who knows where. But when I'm playing TR Vanu and the NC hit me, I can realign and adjust just fine without any issues.
Mm. Next up, he felt that flak armor has become mandatory in the game, so it should default on all characters. And I know, Torkz, you had an opinion on this one.
Yeah, I don't think that... I think it's an option. Just like Grenade Bandolier, Nanoweave, whatever else is an option. I don't think that... By making it mandatory across all, you're basically nerfing anti-infantry mines into the ground. And grenades into the ground. I don't think that's... I think if people make the mistake of not using it or they feel like they need to use it more, I think it should be an option. And it's not... I don't think the term mandatory... I think that's his opinion. I think it should be left as his opinion. I think he values his opinion a little bit too much. And thinks it's a little bit too much. Because it is an option, it is an opinion. He can believe what he wants, and that's fine. But
I kind of agree that it's the best option, but...
I'm not arguing.
The other options might need to be better, is what it is.
Well, I think the real issue is that he thinks that, and maybe I didn't explain it well enough or write it well enough, that flak armor should be the standard option on everybody that they get, and then have the other options on top of the flak armor.
No, it's still exactly what I was thinking you were talking about, because it's still that nerfs grenades and anti-infantry mines into the ground effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And I think that grenades should kill you if they're right next to you if you're not using flak armor. I think that's perfectly acceptable. So if you use flak armor, so be it. I don't think it's mandatory by any means. I think if you're going to be up on the front lines, it's good to use flak armor. If you think you're going to be back, in support role using Grenade Bandolier or additional rockets, or whatever the case may be, I think you should not have that advantage.
Yeah,
so,
I think a better solution is to make the other options better.
I would tend to agree more with that.
The only option I won't be using the flak armor on is the heavy assault, because I like my extra rockets. But all the others, I'm planning on getting flak armor, and that's simply light assault, speed. I like the speed, but that's simply
the adrenaline
other
pump
classes
is very nice.
Don't have the options that are like, oh, this is really awesome for my class. I want to use it. They're all like, other than light assault and heavy, I believe all the others are the same, aren't they?
I believe so. I started purchasing out of my engineer and my medic because it's pretty much necessary. Well, next up, he also feels that the game is too much of a cert grind. For example, he wants, if you were to unlock C4, that you should unlock it on every character that uses it. And same goes for vehicle weapons, because currently if you unlock a weapon that light assault and medics can use, or light assault and engineers can use, you can use them across both of them without having to unlock it a second time. And he doesn't see why, things like C4 and vehicle weapons don't fall in the same category. And again, I agreed with this, and I know, Torkz, you said you also had an opinion on this as well.
My opinion is longevity. I mean, if you're gonna unlock character wide for multiple characters, and you're basically just going to kick down longevity of your need for cert farming. And cert farming is not, I don't want to call it a meta game, but it's part of the game. And even like you had made the comment that some battle rank 100s didn't even have everything unlocked. And I think it's something to strive for even after hitting 100, is to unlock additional things. If you want to, I think doing this, I'm trying to, it's a hard way. I mean, he has some really good points, and I agree with some of the stuff he says, but it's hard to weigh out, would that be less, the long term would be less effective? Who is really gaining from this? I mean, is everybody get C4, then they don't need to farm certs the second time around, so that's good.
It's only too much in certs. It's not like it's...
Well, it's 500 at the second rank.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
true.
but I'm just trying to understand. I don't think it's worth the trouble, honestly, to even bother with this. I think it's something that's just part of the game. I'm not seeing it being a huge annoyance one way or another, so I'm going to continue to talk about it.
I agree with you to the extent, to basically everything you said. The only thing I agree with Buzzcut Psycho on is the vehicle weapons. I only see that being a valid argument for something like the Sunderer, where you have two guns of the same slot.
Right.
I agree with him. I agree with him in that case. In the case of, I bought my G30 Walker for the Prowler, I should have it on the Sunderer too. I'm a little more on, I don't think that's necessary.
I can see his argument though. If I buy the G30 Walker and I also buy the extra ammo for it and unlock it 5 times, now I have a G40 Walker with 5 slots of ammo. Why do I have to go and buy 2 more G40 Walkers and 2 more ranks of 4? It's just a set piece. Why can't it just be plopped on? Yeah, why can't it just be plopped on? I've already bought that. I already know how to do that. Why do I have to know how to do it again because it's a different vehicle? If it's the exact same piece, it's like Legos,
Yeah.
I don't know. He makes an argument is really what it comes down to. But enough talking about him. Let's just talk about the one last point, is the automated turrets and base benefits. And we all agreed on this one as well, so we're not going to spend too long on it. He felt that turrets are too weak, and he wants to include automated AV and anti-air turrets, but not anti-infantry turrets. And I think we all thought that this was a good idea. Just something to make it more important for infantry to come in and soften up a base before armor and air can come and take over. But again, a very long post, and something we think you guys should go out and read and post your own opinions about as well.
Yes, I agree with a lot of what he said. But moving on, something I noticed, and this is just typical forums, is now that air is not crushing people because of the AA changes, all the threads seem to be focusing on swarms of tanks, which to me is not a very big surprise. But I do agree, a big theme with this is that vehicle resources need to be quote unquote more precious as people are, to make players more careful with their vehicle. And I actually agree with that to an extent. I feel like with the cooldown timers, you just spawn a tank, and by the time you die, you will be able to spawn a tank and have gained enough resources to do so. And it's not even really that long, like maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So,
and even on top of that, it's something that I experienced for the first time with Imperial Reach on Friday, is we didn't have enough resources to respawn tanks after the 3rd or 4th time. We just popped off to another continent, sat for a few ticks, regained the resources, and then warped back over and re-got tanks. And I don't think that should be a game mechanic, honestly.
No, I agree.
It's vehicles do not feel, they aren't as important, or, more precious is the perfect word. I really think the resource gain is too high, and the amount of resources that everybody has is too high.
But they are fixing that. That they are going to go through a resource revamp. It's in the roadmap. But that's just, that's now the new thing to moan and groan about is 50 tanks attacking a base.
Right, and of course they'll bump that.
Now liberators aren't killing you. Now it's tanks. So
yeah, and they'll bump that down, and then it'll be people complaining that infantry's camping me.
Yeah, something else will happen. And there'll be a new thing to cry about after that. So,
well, I think you segued us perfectly. We're actually going to talk about the February roadmap and just do a quick preview of some of the things that are in there. And I know we said we'd do this last show, but we actually didn't get a chance to because we had so much other stuff to talk about. So we're going to bump into some of these real quickly for everybody. And first off, we're going to talk about the regional empire priority system. And this is about bonus XP, etc. And they're hoping that this will be used to spread people out and really create more reasons to go to different areas. And they're also hoping that this is going to fix what's being termed as Indar side or Indar side 2 rather than planet side.
Yes. I'm sure that someone's going to do the math to prove the crown is still more XP per minute.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If people stay there, but hopefully people actually leave there and go to these new regional priority areas and make the game a little more fun.
Agreed.
It should guide if everyone's going there, it should create some really big fun battles too. So
Torkz, you're up.
Did he fall asleep?
Next thing we have is account-wide unlocks, and I totally agree. This is going to be amazing. I cannot wait for some of all the vehicle weapons and all the vehicle things I've bought to unlock on my other characters and see specifically. So, skins as well. I'm really looking forward to a lot of my camos being available for my other guys. That's it looks like I think it's the most upvoted February roadmap item. So I'm hoping they get this in place in February. But that's all there is to that one.
Yes. Now, one thing that's going to be in February is a vehicle update for the Flash. And I think the big hot topic on this one is they want to add this ability called Wraith, which would allow infiltrators to cloak their Flash. And I'm just imagining how awesome that'll be, is a whole squad of cloaked Flashes going behind enemy lines, hacking turrets, and becoming the appropriate classes that they need to be after that. Seems like
the Wraith was in Planet Side 1.
Okay.
So just something they're bringing up into the Planet Side 2.
Oh, that'll be good fun.
It would be awesome. I can't wait to see that for the first time.
Next up, is the loadout screen revamp. And we don't have too much to talk about this one because it's more a picture that everybody's going to want to see. And that we're going to include is Higby last week posted a preview screenshot of what the new loadout screens are going to look like and specifically choosing your primary weapon, getting equipment for it. You're going to actually see what the fire rates are and other charts on it. You're going to be able to get stats on your individual weapons based on what you're using. Be able to compare that weapon to all the other weapons that are available to you. And it looks like you can even just buy a new weapon straight from that screen as well. Change your attachments and everything. It looks like it's going to be a much more streamlined screen itself. And again, we will include this link so you guys can check that out. It kind of looks cool, and I'm looking forward to that one as well.
We've already talked about the next item, but it's Empire-specific rockets. So looking forward to seeing all the different little Empire-specific rockets, swarm ones for TR and lock-on, camera-guided ones for NC and a charge-up one for EVS. It should be interesting. So not much more to say about that one.
No. They also want to do daily medals and achievements. So basically daily missions. And, this is a good tool to get people playing every day. If you get a cert, experience, or both bonus from doing it, you can log on, do that. Just by nature, you're going to also play more, I imagine. So, but the only problem I see with this is there's still really no point in maximizing the amount of experience and getting to the max level. But people are suckers for dailies, and if it gets people on, I'm all for it.
Totally agree.
World of Planetside. Next up is the VR training area. Not too much to go over on this one, except that we've been talking about it multiple times, something that a lot of people are asking for in games, something that was in the original Planet side. Just an area where you can go and trial weapons and vehicles just to see how they shoot and things like that. Welcome addition to the game, and something I have always thought should have been there from the beginning.
Next thing up is separate scores from experience. So KDR is KDR. And so a lot of people focus on it, but this game is a lot more than just KDR. And I'm glad that they're going to kind of, accentuate the fact that people's points per hour is more important than just their KDR. So,
well, it turned into this huge KDR discussion, but I think what they really want to do is, I don't know how. Like, honestly, they're numbers to me that kind of equate to the same thing, but, like, you score points and get experience. So somehow they want to make those different. But everyone started talking about KDR on the forums. It just became this huge KDR discussion.
Like I keep saying, I just want to know how many people I res and stuff like that. It's let me see that information instead of KDR for the people who want.
I think they're really trying to push for more meaningful stats for everyone. So it should. I think that's what to more summarize this item. That's it. Hopefully they'll be in February.
Yes. Now another item that we've talked about several times is the Orbital Strike. What?
Ad nauseum. Every show we talk about Orbital Strike.
Oh yeah, this is true. It's Orbital Strike, and this is what I'm going to say about it. I wrote a blog about my thoughts on Orbital Strike, and basically the game's not ready for it, but I will post a link in the show notes for this one.
I've previewed it. It's a good post. Go read it. Next up is pump action shotguns. And I think our first gut reaction is, why is this item so low on the list? Because a lot of people are asking for the pump action shotguns, yet they seem to be so low. And people have pretty valid points. The current shotguns are really good, so how can they make a pump action shotgun more powerful without it being just a one shot, one kill? If anybody has any thoughts on that, please get out to this post and start including them and thumbs upping the people who are making posts regarding that, because I want to see pump action shotties in the game. So let's get this higher, guys.
Yeah,
I think one thing. Oh.
No, I'd say every shot kills like 16 people. Like you go into a room, and it shoots nothing but bouncing betties like all around the room.
You were gonna make a serious comment.
No, it's a valid point that shotguns already kill in one shot. So having the delayed time for pumping a shotgun in the game, what's it going to do to be that much better? And the only thing I could
the semi-autos nerfed, and I could see that.
I mean, if you're going to nerf that, then we have to nerf scatter, scat maxes, and I mean, whatever.
I mean, the most valid point to implementing a pump action shotgun would be to nerf the semi-autos. Otherwise, there'd be no point. So.
Last thing we have for February is additional cosmetic slots for vehicles. There's not much more to say. I want, hubcaps, antenna balls. I want all these things at once. I just want a lot of stuff on my vehicle.
Didn't Level Cap say he wants fins on top of his fins on top of his fins?
Yeah, I want
something like that. Yeah,
like a 16 fin spoiler. But that's all we have for actual community content. We do have the community question for the week and feedback from it. First one being from Twitter. Why don't you get him, Deringer?
Well, first up, just as a refresher for everybody who's listening, our community question, we ran it 2 weeks in a row. We were asking people what they thought, or if they thought the developers should implement a test server into the game. And we read some posts, people's thoughts on that last week and again this week. Our first one came from Lost Boy CZ on Twitter, and he says, as far as test server, I think they should test large patches one server at a time and rotate it to test. And it does seem like they're doing this with the render distance, according to the command center, as we said earlier in the show. So it looks like Lost Boy, you were right on the target on what they're looking to do with this. And we hope to see things like that as we go forward in the game itself.
It'd be really interesting if they start doing whole patches on one server alone. Like, oh, this server gets SMGs. So
I don't know about that. I think that would cause an uproar.
That if they rotated it and gave every server a fair chance, obviously you'd have some people crying and being like, well, they got Empire specific rockets a day early, and all we got was all we got was better stats.
Yeah. All we got was hubcaps and antenna balls.
Yeah, exactly. That's not fair. People.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Anything.
Next thing we have is an email from Kronos about a community question from last week. It's a little bit longer, so I'll read it out. Hey guys, I'm a big fan of the podcast. Listen to it at work every opportunity I get. I was listening to this week's episode, and I'm responding to the debate on whether or not a test server would be a good idea. I think a test server would be a very good idea, but it needs to be done in the right way. To say that an additional 2,000 player cap server wouldn't pull too many players from the game seems crazy to me, which I agree. I don't get how many people can be all up in arms about esports, complain that would be pull too many players away from the main game, then support the idea of a test server, which would be even bigger draw from the main servers. It's negotiable. In order to effectively test new builds, you would need to fill up the test server to high capacity. The problem for testers at Sony isn't that they don't test the game on lower spec machines. It's that they don't have the numbers basically to test, which I agree. Doing load testing on games like this, I'm sure, is a challenge, and I think you have a good point on that, Kronos. The ideal solution, I think, would be to offer the test server for a limited time and only on certain days. I would say for 1 or 2 hours and 2 to 3 days a week. That the way you could fill up the server to capacity and also run it at times when the game is at its lowest population. While some might argue that this would turn low population times into ghost towns, I think he meant servers, low population servers into ghost towns. In my experience, the game slows up a lot during these low population times, and I would more than welcome the opportunity to instead play on a max population test server with a new content. Well, new content, sorry, I apologize. And I think he's right. The only downside to this plan is the low population times are different depending on the region, but SOE would need to figure out how to best schedule it. Thanks for the time. It's Kronos from 66 Devil Dogs. And I think it's a valid point. I think tossing up that between that and testing on live servers with sections of code, I think I prefer testing on live servers without creating a separate test server. That's my personal preference, but I think this is also a very good idea.
Well, I said it last week, and I'll stick to it. I'm against test servers.
Okay.
And I said it last week, and
player-driven, not environment-driven.
I said it last week, and I'll say it again this week. You're wrong.
To each his own.
To each his own.
To each his own. I like
the good, the bad. Oh my goodness. The good, the bad, and the OP.
Have another drink on me, soldier.
Okay, thank you kindly.
If you can look hard enough past all the death and all the sorrow, there are good things. You must remember that we will overcome. The good, the bad, and the overpowered.
Alright, my good for the week was playing with the 666 Devil Dogs. I always had the impression that they were just a Zerg outfit because of what people say about them, but they were surprisingly organized and extremely fun and casual at the same time to play with. I had an absolute blast playing with these guys, and I think you guys both did too. But
yes.
I was like, all right, maybe they're not going to respond.
It's your good and the bad. I didn't want to speak on it, but yes, I had a great time as well.
I had a good time too. My only issue with them is that they're West Coast, and I just can't do their West Coast times. I was up till 2 a.m. yesterday playing.
Yeah, but fortunately, you didn't have work today.
Yeah, thankfully I didn't have work today, but it was very hard to get up this morning.
Yeah, that is one bad part. For you especially, but even here for me in Missouri, it's 2 hours. But my bad is last week I think it was my good, as I got a puppy, right? No puppy. I can't have part bit bull at my apartment complex, so I don't have a puppy anymore. That kind of sucks.
This is where I need a sad violin background music, but I don't have any.
That would be good. We'll have to work on that.
Are you playing the world's smallest violin, right?
I am playing it right now for you.
I'm sure it's not the last time we'll need a sound like that, so.
I think I got something. Yeah, that'll work. All right.
All right. Well, my good was I played a lot today with dropping purple smoke, and at one point we warp gated the NC on Indar this afternoon, and we held them from the crater firing range for almost an hour, and it really was the most fun I've had in game in a long time. Just dropping planes as they come flying out and taking out their entire armored column and just holding that one point as they try and get out of their warp gate. I miss a lot of things like that in the game when we do dedicated ops nights, rather than just make something where you're just going to absolutely screw with the other faction and make them really mad. But my bad this week is the 2.13 hotfix has totally reintroduced an FPS loss for me. I was doing great prior to it, where I was getting 30 to 40 frames per second in every battle, and now I'm down to 20 almost all the time. And if something really starts going crazy on the screen, I've gone down to 2 FPS. And at one point, a couple Vanguards came around the corner and popped their shields, and I went to 0 FPS. So I don't know what's going on, and I'm hoping they're going to kind of change something around again, because there's a lot of jitteriness in my game now with this FPS issues. So I'm not going to say that I hate this patch like I did the last one. I'll let them come in with a fix and make it better on my machine.
It's interesting. I wonder what's causing it, because didn't Garlock with 666, he had an FPS crash when we were playing with them. He has the same video card as me.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't it's not video related. It's got to be something else with the CPU, I imagine. But I haven't had any issues, so it's interesting.
It's making me want to go buy a new CPU.
Time to fork up the money.
Yeah. My good for the week is all the listener submitted stories we got for stories from the battlefield. There's a lot of good ones that we read through each and every one of them, and they were all good. Deringer picked his out, and we'll talk more about that segment of the show. But my bad for the week, I had a sound card failure in one of my boxes for the show, and guys caused kind of a hiccup for me this week while I was getting things set up, and that was good times, but not much else other than that. It was a pretty good week. And you guys have anything else, or we're going to go on ReachCast stories in the battlefield?
Oh, it's time to hear the user submitted story, I think.
It is. I think it's time.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's do this.
Next on the ReachCast show.
When the second wave was coming, we didn't know if we were going to make it.
Tune in to learn about the untold stories that win battles and bring victory to wars.
We need reinforcements now.
Find out about the exciting turn of events.
This hole made you reach down deep, find something special.
See things that you will not believe. Hear about heroic stories from each empire.
New conglomerate.
Terran Republic.
The new sovereignty.
Coming up next on ReachCast, Stories from the Battlefield.
All right. As promised, we did get a number of good entries, and like Torkz said, we read through them all and really enjoyed them all. But unfortunately, I had to pick one winner. And this week, I have picked Quattro's story. Now, Quattro, I will get in touch with you via email to see if you would like a Walmart station cash card or a GameStop station cash card, and we'll go from there. But without further ado, here is Quattro's story for everyone to enjoy.
Ooh, before you start, do we want to post the other stories on the website?
Torkz?
I have no objections to that. I think we might wait. Well, you'll hear why I want to wait after this.
Forums.
But at the end, no, not that. But we'll wait till I'll explain after he's done reading. I'll let him read.
All right. Impact in 3, 2, 1. Crouch. Cloak. If anyone saw the Vanu drop pod careen into the large tree outside the vehicle bay at Crossroads Watchtower, they saw nothing as it deconstructed into the ether. But why worry about being seen? Soldiers never look up. From my perch in the tall branches, I can see the Vanu presence here, has all but melted away under the weight of the Terran offensive when we hear the announcement, "You have not failed, Vanu. You have failed yourself." Whatever, pious lemmings. They may be nuts. But as long as they can place a rifle in my hands that cauterizes brain tissue at 300 meters, I'll bend the knee and call myself a servant of Vanu. Don't they see the ridiculousness of it all? Take a base, lose a base, the colors on the map bleed and recede 100 times a day, deciding nothing other than where you get to die next. Besides, losing this position to the TR just means more subjects for me to play with. Drawing the 8x scope of my suppressed parallax to my eye, I place the crosshairs on an engineer attempting to repair a turret. Distance to target? Nominal. No adjustment needed for drop. Squeeze. That stomach-jolting feeling never disappoints. As the beam enters under his eye and dissipates against the bulkhead behind him, it creates a nearly perfect smoking hole. A medic with a weapon drawn circles the body once, scanning the distance before reaching for his medical tool. He pauses and falls. There is an elegance to the plasma rifle. It makes me wonder how those TR and NC knuckle draggers, still relying on chunks of metal hurled by small explosions, have continued on this long. Soldiers begin to pile into sunderers and pull tanks. I take shots at the ones fleeing to the next target on foot. Many of my shots seem to miss the movers completely, or land at non-lethal center mass. Stop, I remind myself. You're not here for this. I watch them mop up the last few, my Vanu brethren. A peace seems to settle over the area. Shots and explosions grow further and further away. The battle here is over. The unmistakable static sound of an infiltrator uncloaking sends a jolt down my spine. All too often that's the last sound I've heard before metal tears through me. Every muscle in my body clenches while I wait to hear the inevitable crack, 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 the intense burn and the sudden darkness. But it doesn't come. Instead, I look down and see a massive 12x scope scanning the hillside in the distance. But I'm close enough to hear him sizzle after he falls. Why do they never look up? I used to think nanite rebirth technology had taken all the fun out of ending a life. But when death comes at the most tranquil moment on the battlefield, when it comes from an unseen enemy, when it happens over and over, rebirth simply reinforces the helplessness. The only action here now is the rolling of armor from the vehicle bay below. I slide down from the tree and crouch behind a large root at the base. Through the scope, 3 red helmets gather around the armor terminal. As quickly as I can cycle the rifle, they fall. A minute passes. Another red helmet steps up to the terminal and drops. This is what I'm here for. The ideologues can have their game of galactic grab-ass. I'll settle for creating a new race of nervous, stuttering, twitching idiots. Circle that tank 3 times while you try to repair it. Jitter back and forth while you fumble with your medical tool. Dance feverishly while you try to get the turret operational. Dance, you mindless morons, because while you might think you're safe, that the fight is far from you, the moment you stop dance, crack, crack, crack. I might have seen the soles of 2 large boots on either side of the barrel. I might have seen the air around me shimmer, the leaves falling off the tree, or the glow of his jetpack boosters growing larger. I might have even had time to cloak and escape, but I never looked up.
That was a good story. I liked it.
Isn't that a good story?
Too. I like that.
This is why I chose Quattro this week. Good story.
It was very good. I agree. I like the looking up theme to it because it's very true.
It's so true.
I want to cover. I am going to also do a listener submitted story for myself next week. Now, I wanted to mention that I need them in by Wednesday. We'll take the ones we already have as well as any newly submitted ones by Wednesday. I'll pick one out myself from the collection and then prepare it for next week's episode. So if you could get in by then, I would appreciate it. And after that, I think Noxx, we can go ahead and put them up on the website. I just didn't want to put them all up until we had a second one picked out for the next episode.
Do you want to maybe extend it an extra week? Wednesday's giving some people one day if they don't listen to it till tomorrow. And I can just go next week?
You know what I can do? I can pick out the ones we already have plus what we submitted by Wednesday. And then you can take out the additional ones the week after that, out of the entire collection of everything we have left over.
Well,
Does that
no,
work
I
for you?
mean, I'll just do a story this week because I was planning on trying to write another, but then this gives people more time to write some more stories.
Okay, so you want to do this?
So that because you're planning on doing some sound and fun stuff with it, right?
Yeah, I do. I plan on doing that. You said you want to do this next week. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I want to give some people some more time to write. To, I think if they know they're going to get some sound with their story, we're going to get some even cooler entries, or not cooler, but more cool entries rather.
Okay, so then we'll plan
time.
That's fine. We'll plan on. I'll do mine the episode after next. I'll work with Steve to get everything knocked out and do some pre-recording for it. And you'll do next episode, and that works for me. Yeah.
So just to clarify for everybody listening, that means you have until the 27th to get your story in.
Yeah, I think that would work well. So up to the 27th, guys, and I'll take your story. I'll pre-record it and remaster it and then send that over to our sound guy to do a background drop again, so we can, if you guys want that done to your story, then send us some more stories and we'll pick out the best that you guys send in and do that. With that being said, we'll go on to the ReachCast mailbag.
Oh, it's a perfect morning. Great timing, the mailman's just coming.
Morning. Here's the mail. Big bag, big bag.
He must be ready to get away. Very strange. What's the sneaking sound? Going to take a look here in this bag of mail. Oh no!
Now you just open the ReachCast mailbag.
Alrighty, we have a good email from Gutsum this week, and I found some humor in it. I hope you guys will do as well. He says, this is Gutsum. He says, I'm afraid there's a bug in the game that no one seems to want to acknowledge. This is the first MMO that I have found myself not awkwardly starting as a female toon. Has this game made me asexual? Are my toon asexual? Why is there no birth on Araxis? Do the factions not want to procreate between battles? Perhaps maybe some little interfaction romance, possibly? Some people find gimp suits hot. And he puts Deringer in quotes. So, and he said maybe Princess Leia, in quotations, Jabba the Hutt armor for the NC, for academic use only, obviously. To see if their soldiers would be distracted by such things, etc. Forget about everything that's OP and nerf this, blah, blah, blah. This question needs to be addressed. Sincerely awkward, Gutsum. And he says, P.S. Love the show, guys. Keep it up. Go Bruins. Blues suck. Go Turds.
Yeah, whatever.
So,
I'm sensing desire for a little Romeo and Juliet action.
oh no, is that going to be our stories in the battlefield?
Love. I don't know. It's kind of sparking some ideas.
Oh no, indeed.
Gutsum, what have you done? What have you done? That is our
write it all Shakespeare style too, right?
Oh man, it's like the new age Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and what's her name?
Ugh.
Yeah.
I really hated the fact that the guns had sword names on them.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even see it, but that sounds retarded.
Oh. Didn't the pistol say rapier or something across it?
Yeah, something. I can't remember, but I do remember the really obnoxiously large lettering on each one of the pistols. I was like, oh, seriously?
Serious? I'm gonna.
All right, well, this is enough of this. We don't need to go into this.
Thanks a lot, Gutsum. Look where you've sent us.
Why don't you give us our thank yous this week, Noxx?
Yes, we have some thank yous. Lost Boy CZ, Life in HD 2. Oh my goodness, what is this?
It's Hawaiian. Come on, you can do it.
What? Yuhanioli. I don't even know. What are these next two names? Opfan. Opeth fan. I hate you for giving me this. I didn't stop this on me. I thought you were doing this, Deringer. All right, we have Lady Shade, two people whose names I don't even want to try on again. Lady Shade, Luperza got some classified. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. That's payback for the first week and busting my butt about that.
You pronounce them. Tell me.
I can't pronounce them. That's why I put your name on them. No, don't act like you.
I believe it's Uhane Ole and Opeth fan.
See, Opeth fan makes more sense, but I was so caught up on Uhane Ole that Opeth fan looked even crazier to me, too.
Congratulations. I'm glad somebody could read them. Contact him for the show. We have a new website, ReachCastShow.com. It's like it sounds. iTunes, you can leave us a review there if you want to listen to us there or leave a review. Stitcher is a big one. If you want to listen on your phone or PC and a low bandwidth intensive app, you can give us a thumbs up there, help review the show for free. Helps further the show. The email for the show is reachcastshow@gmail.com. And the phone number to call in for voicemail wise is 415-787-3224 or 415-78-REACH. And you can reach us on Twitter at ReachCastShow.
Noxia, NOXXIA.
And at the Deringer.
And I want to give a quick summary for the t-shirt sales as well to send the show out. We have all 3 campaigns are now completed. We had Teespring reduce our NC and VS campaigns to numbers that were right next to where it was already almost accomplished, and then we went ahead and advertised them, had them achieved. So everybody that's already reserved their NC and VS orders, you will also get shirts now. We found out that we could also reduce the campaigns to do that, so I'm glad that we could accommodate, and you guys will be able to get your shirts. And if you guys want to continue to buy, all 3 colors will now be printed, so go ahead and order your additional ones if you want to. It's up to you. And as always, I want to say a quick thank you to
wait. They only have until 9 p.m. Eastern time on the 19th. So if you're listening to this today and you still want a shirt, you are running out of time.
Get to it.
Because they're all getting printed.
Tuesday.
So, yeah, Tuesday the 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want a shirt, they're all getting printed. So if you were sitting on the fence, get in there.
Last but not least, I also want to give a thank you to the rest of the ReachCast crew that helps us out. Steve, Cliff, John, and Drew. And that is it for the show. And as always, I like to say, have a good week, guys.
Let's go Blues. Bruins suck.
They do not. When's the last time the Blues won a game?
Oh, they won the last 3 games, okay?
Yeah, whatever.
Is that all you got, Deringer?
Well,
Goodbye.
Hey everybody, Deringer here. Just a post-show note. Matt Higbee sent a second tweet out this evening saying that the graph on the main battle tank balance image was misplotted for the Mag Rider versus Prowler graph. So some of the information we may have given this evening may have been a little off. Look for an updated image tomorrow morning with correct information on it.